All right. Sorry, guys. I'm going to give it a second, see how everything goes. I want to apologize. I had some issues with the stream and my computer that I've never went through before. Started off with my internet, and then all of a sudden my mic kept losing connection, then camera. And it was better. I'm in a place now that we should be good to go. Um, First off, I want to say I'm starting this off, and thank you guys for showing up, especially last minute. Uh, this is not a podcast, it's not a show. It's unlike anything I've ever done before, and something I don't believe anybody should ever have to do. And I'm going to try my best to explain this. I'm trying to create a timeline. I need a public timeline because it's crazy. It may be confusing for some of you. If some of you just started watching anything to do with me last year when I was involved with the Whitaker story, um, it might be a little confusing. If you've been with Dad Talk, um, you'll understand it a lot more because I'll be talking about the reason I started that podcast. I've had an issue for the last 10 years of my life with someone that has attached themselves to me, and I've never been able to get them to stop. Unwanted contact, blocked them on phone. I know of 3 accounts on social media, all blocked. Um, and they still are able to get my pictures, surveil everything I do. This was a relationship, guys. It was a relationship I ended. It was one of my shortest relationships. It was maybe a half a year. And I would love to have had a way that I could have cut all communication. I had a child. That complicates things. I needed to stay in contact. And I could have done that and just kept it on her. That's not what happened on the other side. I tried to put boundaries on this a long, long time ago. If it has anything to do with anything outside the health, safety, and well being of my child, I'm not interested. I'm not talking about a relationship that I left. I left it for a reason. If you contact me about her, if I can help, I would have been nice and helped in any way. It could never be just about her. Guys, this was crazy. But and it's really embarrassing to bring this on here. There is a lot, last year I knew when I went forward with the information that I did, there is a lot, so much to lose and nothing really to gain from this. The only thing that there was to gain is making sure that people were protected and that they were not in a situation that I think is good for them in any way. And it was something, their situation is something that I believe could have been addressed decades before it really was. I don't want to go back and rehash anything that you've heard me talk about. To be perfectly honest with you, for the last month, I have been working on something to move forward. I'm ready to close these chapters. There's nothing here for me. There's nothing here for me anymore but drama. I did everything I could. Um, I stand by everything I did. I feel good. What I brought forward, it checked out. There has been a whole year, literally a whole year, And the majority of that, I stayed silent until I finally spoke up not long ago that if anybody had anything of substance, don't you think it would have came out by now? There was many different allegations that got put out during that time, easy to dispel. And now there's like a whole new list. And let me tell you, I've been through this before. It was one thing with a guy up there that made bad choices. Um, but now this person that I have this history with, and I've been going through this for 10 years, has attached themselves. And I know how this plays out. There's going to be allegations that start. You guys don't know this. There was once upon a time, this literally had me feeling crazy in my head. I didn't know which way I was turning or anything. I had to go get therapy. I had to do a lot of healing. Um, I don't even like to think about that time. I really don't. And that's part of the reason I believe they do this is because they don't want to see me move on and be happy. I'm sorry. I moved on a long time ago. I've been with my wife now, going on 9 years. I've been remarried to her happily, going on 7. This is the best I've ever had in a loving relationship. I have my person. I, I just don't know how this is going on. It's not normal, healthy behavior. How many of you um, go to your ex's page? Or now, how many of you do? That's what you do on your off time. You watch everything they do. How many of you make numerous profiles in order to do it? And this person doing this, you don't even know their name. It's not their name. As of recent, because I don't look at it, I found out something that is even more puzzling. And I've heard a lot of stuff with dad talk. And I've always tried to keep it not about my case. There's been a few times I talked about it. Um, but it gets crazy. That's not their name. They don't show you their face like I am right now. And I'm not saying this is flattering, but I've done this for many years. I've shared many parts of my story, my personal life, willingly in order to connect with people that are going through the same things. My wife, who is just as much responsible in many ways, I think more, for me being able to have this life where I do share that part of myself with people and helps of being able to relate, provide encouragement, and then in many cases, even like last year, go and try to help people that I feel I have something inside of me, skill or desire to help people less fortunate. I loved everything about what I was doing last year until what happened. And I couldn't sit by and not do anything. Um, One of the hardest parts of this is going forward and doing this to protect people. I feel like in order to protect, I made myself the target. If this had ever been about me wanting to convince people, well, I'm innocent or I'm something that I wasn't, waiting 10 months to finally say my side and what really happened, probably the worst strategy on the face of this earth. Because when I done this, most people had checked out. It was almost dead. Nobody was talking about it anymore. And that's a very big disadvantage and something that's damage that went not only to me with my career or my contacts and what I busted my ass to build, um, It involved my personal life. They brought my children into this, guys. Uh, it really makes me sad to know, what does that say to someone who wants to go forward because they see something going on and they want to bring forward information they can, like to get something investigated? I mean, but my wife was just as much a part of all of this as me, because we were newlyweds. Actually, when I started Dad Talk, she was fully supportive because my job was shutting down. Um, she was behind me. I think it really started in early 2019. We got married in December of that year. And then the following year is when I started going to these conventions and doing stuff. There was so many nights as a newlywed. I finally found my someone. I was very passionate about this. There was many nights that she spent in the bed without me by her side because I was off covering some story, trying to carry this cause, and I wanted to help people. And there was so many times along the way, I'm done. I want to get out of here. Uh, I don't want to be the guy that helps dads and has to go around and wear a suit and tie and do. I'm done. I've done as much as I can, and it's too much. And she wouldn't let me. She knew me. She knew me. You know, when a lot of people be like, "Okay, that's good. You know, you need to go do this and get the regular 9 to 5 like everyone else, and stop messing." It's like, you ain't going nowhere. You just take a break. I believe in you. And she's the one that deserves so much more of this credit. And it hurts me. It's not so much when people make allegations against me. Man, it comes with the territory. If you're going to be on here doing something like this, it comes with the territory. I let it go in one ear and out the other. When it first started and I wasn't used to it, it did. I mean, it hurts. Nobody wants to see something they're so passionate and putting work behind being treated like this. Um, when you're on the internet, there's people that have nothing better to do sometimes. It's something. But the reason it bothers me with something like this is now you're talking about my wife's husband. And one of the main ones that's trying to do this is someone that knows nothing about that role. They try to claim they do. They don't know me. You once knew a man that had my name and stuff that didn't even know who he was. But it was one of the shortest relationships I've been in. And I got out and they haven't seen me in 10 years other than watching everything I do on social media, guys. I've seen pictures made, collages, like like tons of my pictures, hundreds of my pictures, collages. Who spends their time doing this with an ex? And before this ever becomes a thing, well, she only did that because you started Dad Talk today. This is something that way predated this podcast. Social media was a constant. I was woke up all hours of the night. I used to get up for work at 1:30 in the morning. Magically, these texts or calls, they always started, closer to that time. 1:30 in the morning sucks because I like to stay up late, but that's what my job was at the time. I ran a route, ice cream man. You want to do that before it gets hot outside or starts melting and sweating everywhere. But yeah, I was constantly getting calls, texts, and I said, listen, I want to keep this open because I got a daughter and I want to know what's going on and I want to you to be able to reach me, but I'm not going to keep putting up with this. And I eventually just had to block her on cell phone, moved it to email. At least here I can keep communication. Maybe I can control it better. Nothing pisses someone off more than something like that, because now that can't be used as the tool it was. Um, you know, if it has anything to do with anything besides my daughter, I'm done. I would give them an email and be something this long. I'd start reading him as about a relationship. I'm like, listen, wrote her right back. I told you if it has anything to do, it's not about her, I'm out. So I'm not even reading it. If it has something in there to do about her, I'm not. Let me know. Just put that part, please, and I'll gladly reply to you. And that became because I noticed the pattern early on. I fed into it, and then I would read these allegations and things that was said about me. Nobody wants to hear somebody making lies or anything about you. What's your natural thing? You know, what in the world? You get on there and you get upset and you let your emotions go crazy. And I started learning, responding to this. One, there's no solution, there's no end to it, it goes nowhere. The focus is supposed to be on the child. And for every allegation you answer, there's 10 more. There goes that old saying, you wrestle with pigs, you both get dirty, and the pig likes it. I learned not to wrestle with pigs and controlled, make it about my daughter and this. And it was crazy, guys. The only way I could see my daughter is if I went over there and sat with her. Um, she'd try to put letters in my other children that live with me's hands and give this to your daddy when you get home or when y'all leave. Try to put them in my hands, and I'd take it, put it in the mailbox before I leave. Like, I'm not playing with this. Then next thing you know, they're coming in the mailbox. Or other people are reaching out to me or talking about stuff. The one thing that's been constant that whole time was social media. And, I hate stuff like this. Because, like I said, you don't know her name. She's not showing you herself. Has nothing to do with Whitakers or West Virginia. Listen to the allegations. What does it have to do with the Whitaker family? And am I surprised? No. This is not the first time. I've been doing dad talk for 7 years. There's nothing too small or anything. They know anyone I've ever met, anything I've ever done. It's very unhealthy behavior. It's not flattering. I don't like a damn thing about it. Has not dated, hasn't talked to anyone in 10 years. Been with my wife going on 9 years, guys. It was one thing back then to know that this was going on. But now, and now attaching themselves to that. And listen, I've had my personal contact information twice that I know of. There's no telling what else. My kids' names, all kinds of personal details that belong to me. What happened last year was a complete violation of my privacy and my personal life. And that's one of the things that upsets me so much about what went down. And one of the reasons I felt like I've got to go out there and, put a stop to this. I know, I was really contemplating that because it had died down. I didn't want it to go crazy again, but I've got to do this. I've got to get this out. This is not right. And now here we are all this time later. This is still going on. This is my last time talking about West Virginia. I thought when I talked out, my appetite for it was bigger. It had been a long time, and I hadn't got to say my side of it. Well, I thought it was going to take a while. I did those few episodes, and nobody will ever know how hard it was for me on that first one. I tried to record that episode numerous times so I could take my time, try to get the information out, and I couldn't do it. I was embarrassed. I didn't want the world to see what this had done to me. Really didn't. I had been getting myself in shape, going to the gym, thinking I had it under control. I didn't let my family know it was bothering me. Tried to hide behind a smile, and they'd always, "Are you okay?" Like, yeah, I'm good. I know that it's bothering you. No, I'm not worried about it. It was eating me alive inside. I couldn't understand how this was allowed to happen. I couldn't understand why I'm not um, with people. I literally trained and like showed you how to communicate and take care. None of it makes sense. And I'm going to try to talk as little about that as possible. I never wanted to have to come out and say something. I was told in person. Mark was there with me. We know, you know, this would create a slander campaign. This is going to be a really big deal on the internet when this comes out. We've got a press team, and we're planning on putting a statement out that says you had no involvement. You were clear and all this. Okay, I will, I'm not allowed to tell anybody I had anything to do with it. Okay, even though I'm literally still here helping. And while everybody was involved in making this a viral thing right after, when it was its biggest, I was behind the scenes caring and comforting the ones who were supposed to be the focus of this story. That's the thing that's really sickened me about this. When I hear it talked about, you hardly even hear the Whitakers even mentioned. I was so, we are going to help them and we're going to be building a house. I had it ready to go, but didn't happen. But there is someone building a house. It's not the Whitakers. Um, and that person, if they hadn't already, I mean, dude, I, what this calls and what I was told, and I came up there and busted my ass, and what this is came. Don't you think you've done enough? But no, it was just a night or so ago, trying to text my phone and block them. I want nothing to do with you. Do not contact me. I don't wish any ill will towards him or this woman I'm talking about. I really don't. I'm not angry and frustrated at them. Oh, yeah, definitely. And annoyed. I want to make it a memory, but I don't wish any ill will. I wish both of them would be happy and turn their lives around. With him, I was really hoping. I was really hoping. He told me, I've made my mistakes in the past. I've got I've had some stuff, and but I'm really wanting to do this the right way. I do care about someone, and I want to do this the right way. I wanted to believe it. When the internet doesn't see, I reached out to close family and said, I'm seeing stuff. It bothers me. You know, I haven't seen anything that like really yet. But I was letting them know there was already signs there. Like, I don't want to get involved in anything. I got a family. I came up here to help. But what is this? This is not what it was looking like, on the outside. Seeing someone going fishing and doing those things for me. I had watched them for years, man. And when I look, I just got to be honest with you guys. Does that look to me like anyone that has remorse? Does it look to me like someone that really is missing someone they spent so much time and effort convincing the world they care about? And now you want to keep texting my phone, going with doing this with this person. You don't know what you're messing with. and putting my personal details, just put my contact information out on the world wide stage on the internet just a couple of days ago. This ain't cool, guys. My life, my family, and my personal stuff, this isn't anybody's entertainment. I think the world altogether has gotten desensitized to what this type of stuff does to families. You know, we see somebody's real tragedies or deaths or whatever happen. A month or so later, it could be a true crime show. You know, you could be watching it on Netflix in somebody's living room. When they get done, are they stopping and asking themselves, like, I wonder how they or are they okay? Or how can I get involved to make sure something like this doesn't happen again? Or probably like most people, next episode, we've really, that's what we've done. And it felt like that was what happened with West Virginia. This was real life. Again, when it was at its hottest and it was that viral moment, the world didn't get to see this. I did. I got to see the consequences of the people who were supposed to be the focus and the pain that it caused them. The only family and home they'd ever known. I mean, something had to be done. And you know, with the way it was done or whatever, I mean, I could have different opinions, but I'm not here to debate that. I just know um, people knew about this and could have done something long before. Um, you'll have to excuse me. I got some things. I tried to make some notes. There's several different things that I'm going to touch on, and I'm laying this thing to rest. And if anybody wants to continue down this rabbit hole, you get some type of enjoyment out of it, knowing the damage that it's caused. Um, I'll leave you behind some things. If there's people that do, and they really want to get the truth, it's easy stuff. It really is. It's easy stuff, and use this. If you want to find the truth, it'll be that quick. Now, if you're wanting to create a villain, just say so. You don't have to like me. You don't have to like anybody else. I'm not going to sit here and try to convince anyone otherwise. I'm just going to say, here's some questions, and here is the truth. And I'm going to answer something tonight that's been one of the most asked things from the very beginning that people have tried to use against me and my credibility and who I am. And it was probably the most common sense out of all of them, but I was never able to answer it because it is a courtroom matter. Now, no, none of that's resolved yet. But I think I can do this in a way that protects information and whatever wouldn't go out, or whatever they wouldn't want out. Because it's just time. Um, Let me check this real quick. I do want to say something. Give me a sec. I'm not afraid of accountability, or if I play a part and I do something wrong, I'll be the first one to tell you, because that's how you get better in life. And nobody gets anywhere by trying to make excuses for stuff. I messed up, not this past Sunday, but the Sunday before, Father's Day night. And I broke so many of my own rules. Um, I had been working that day. Like I said, I'm working on some stuff in the future where I'm not the guy that has to sit there and go or do something for a movement or go and help a family. I'm going to work on stuff that I enjoy and I want to have fun with, and enjoy the rest of my life with the person that I have that has supported me this whole time and allowed me to do this. I think I owe it to her because it hasn't been easy, especially after this past year. And I think I've earned it. I've done a lot of work. I'm out of that life, and I haven't asked for anybody's help. I haven't asked for no donations. It's a new time, new place. I got a few things to do, and I'll address that in future videos. Um, but Father's Day night, I had been working out there, and my daughter, Lily, wanted to come and eat supper with her dad. My wife had cooked. She texted me, letting her know, hey, she's here. I've been working all day. I tried to finish up, and I was like, okay, let's go in there. One of my first rules is don't get on social media. Um, and I don't know what possessed me to. And this was something I was very, very strict about, especially last year, knowing that I couldn't talk and that I was having to hold that in. Um, what happens? We're all human, and we see someone talking about us. If it's something we're passionate about, family or other things where people take it across the line, if you see it, you want to respond. And so I didn't look. I knew there was a bunch of hogwash going around. It was nuts. It was seriously nuts. And then someone had put my telephone number out back then, having to call the cops. It was just, uh, it's a chapter in my book that I can't even believe it got attached. It really was. Um, but as I'm going inside, I had like a notification pop on my phone, and that's one of the friends that I only communicate with through social media. And so that day, as I'm about to walk in the door, I hit it. Well, Facebook pops up. And what's the first thing I see? I had made a Father's Day video, which I've done every year with Dad Talk. Sorry, fruit flies everywhere. Them and mosquitoes right now. Um, but I put that out there. That's not something that makes me a rich YouTuber or anything. Guys, if anything, I've been trying to work on Dad Talk ever since that went, and those get way, 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 way less traction. I don't care. It's what I'm passionate about, and I'm not trying to chase that anyway. I'm going to put that out. The first thing that pops up on my screen, someone shared it. The one that got the charges and that led the actions that made me have to go to the authorities that started all of this, and made a claim about fraud. Listen, again, I'm not going to try to convince anyone of anything, but I'm not the one sitting here with charges. And there was at least 3 different false things in this, but it was about Dad's rights stuff that I've done with Dad Talk. And it was this old allegation that had happened and came from someone who later, I believe, even admitted it was false. They had, guys, that was something that went on all the time in the father's rights space, like all the time. And it got old. But this one was tiny. I could have proved it. Jeff Morgan talked out about it at one point in time. He had the video, he had recorded it and put it out there. And this was during a time it outlived month to month. And they're trying to make it look like, anyway, like it was something it wasn't. But I could not understand in my mind. I'm like, this guy, I think he even admitted it was false and did it like just to take a dig at me. But this was something that was years ago that hardly anybody saw. And I could have done something about it then, but I could not understand in my head. He has reached out to to him from West Virginia. It didn't make sense. Like, why? When they know me not speaking about it was actually probably the best benefit for that person. But at that time, I had a lot going on in that space, and we had been kicking open doors that had never been kicked open in the father's right space. And I was doing something I never sat out to do and was good at it. And we were making progress. And so I've got a few options. I can try to let it roll off my back and bite my lip and try to be the bigger person, which is what I did and was not easy. Or I can respond publicly about this guy, show how full of you know what it. I mean, I could have got defamation. I thought about it. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm human. I thought about it. But this was a person that at one point in time had a lot of respect amongst some of the guys. And there was always fighting inside of that group. And I didn't want to do that. I would have went from all of this progress that we was making, and then I turned my platform into a place where I'm responding to an allegation, and I take the focus off of what it's supposed to be about. What really sucks now, that's exactly what I'm doing right now. Over the past year, when I've spoke out, because this is the only way I had to do it, I took focus away from something I built and busted my ass for over the years and had to use that to fight back against this smear campaign that was allowed to go on. That they knew, you know, it would have been so easy. You know, I was told this is what was going to happen, and it's not. And to this day, no one's acknowledged it. And I don't say stuff if I don't have it to back it. I'll just tell you that. Um, anyway, as I was stepping my foot in the door and I saw that, I look up and there's my daughter. I only get to see her every month, once a month or every other month now. She lives a good bit away, just started college. I'm so proud of her. I step in the door as I see it, and there she is. And my emotions already going. I hurried up, put my phone in my pocket. I'm like, hey, baby, come give daddy a hug. So she came, gave me a hug, and they were ready to eat. They had been waiting on me. Supper was done. So we sat down and ate supper and talked to her and hid behind a smile. Didn't want her to know anything's wrong. I didn't want to tell them about it. It's my problems. Keep it with me. But it wasn't easy. I kept it. I kept my cool. And a little bit later, I think she was here for a couple hours and she left. And as soon as she left, I called Jeff because he knew how false this was and how hidden in the corner it was. It was just like a personal attack type thing. And I said, dude, you're not gonna believe this. And crazy enough, he said he had already heard from someone talking about it. So I guess it had been talked about before. And I was like, you know what? I spent all those years being the bigger guy. And that's been years ago. Let's roll. Like, I am tired of these people who think like my personal life or my credibility or whatever is their playground. And so we went on there. I gave this whole history. And then, as I'm getting near the end, Jeff's son called. And that's why he got knocked off. I get a couple of texts. And I'm seeing other stuff. Social media is being reactivated for the Whitakers. I deactivated that in 2025, December 2025. The courts acknowledged that. I wanted it. It's preserved as evidence for this. But there's like these anomalies that start coming. And I remember like my emotions at that time is like, why is anyone in charge of this? Like, why is this being allowed to continue? I mean, June, this makes 1 year, a year that since I got involved in that project. And it didn't last long, like 4 months. Like, why? If this was anyone else's family, I think they'd be wanting answers and like accountability. What's going on? Anyway, I got off and I still just in my mind, like, why would somebody do this? And I replied out of emotion I came on and I did a show like I'm doing right now, but I didn't know the facts. And I got on Facebook. 3 things I know better. I know better. And I will say right now, I was wrong. I was wrong. Now, was what that person said false? Yes. And they know it. And it was wrong when they said it. But were they going and feeding information or causing this? Now that I know what I know, I don't know. And it would have made much more sense. That's why you don't jump to conclusions and do that. I know better. Shame on me. Shame on me. Because next morning, I'm told I don't go looking for this stuff. Like people tell me, I purpose it. I don't want to see it. It's not worth my time. I think it's pathetic. But I'm told Sarah Little is going to do a show with you know who. Well, I can say Sarah Little because that's not her name. Have you never, if anybody's seen it, you ever wondered why you won't turn the camera on? I do it for you. Think about how convenient that is. Make a fake profile, fake name. Here's the craziest part. I'm gonna say who. And again, I try not to say, but somebody told me, man, from what you have described that person, like I see this and like they acknowledge that's who they are, but when I look at it, it's like that doesn't sound like who you said it was. And I was like, I'm sorry. They never anyway. And I was like, no, I seriously, well, will you take a look and tell me? And I'm like, okay, let me. And they show me the picture that they're presenting to everyone else, that being them. It's not. It's not her. It's definitely the actions and everything else, but that's not her. Not only is it fake profile, fake name, I've never seen anything like this. But once I saw that, and now those two, I was okay, because there's nothing too small. There's nothing about my life that goes undocumented. I mean, I would ask anybody, and even the ones like who refuse to believe what the official status is. I mean, this thing was investigated thoroughly, not from the internet detectives that tried. You know what I mean? It had people with real access to real information, and there was a lot. I knew a lot, but I can only imagine what they had to go through. I was okay with that because I knew. Good thing about being someone like this is, go ahead. I got nothing to fear. Um, but anyway, guys, I want to do something. I gotta get this because I'm ready to get it over with, and they're already getting too much of my time. Um, this is 3 recent allegations, and the reason I'm doing this is not because I feel like I need to answer them or anything. I told you I'm going to leave you some stuff behind, and if you'll just add or use a little bit of common sense to it, you'll get your own answers. Let me see. I had this set up. I'm doing a podcast from my cell phone. I don't usually do this, so you'll have to bear with me. I'm going to try to get this as good as I can. Here's uh here's one that I find the most disgusting. And I don't get people, man. I don't, that do this when they bring your children into it. My children, they're literally my everything. And I always wanted a boy. I got a stepson. Me and him are close. He goes and lifts weights and stuff with me. Smart kid, hard worker. But I had 4 attempts at a boy. It ain't work. I had all girls. All girls. I am a girl dad. And that's what the man upstairs had for me. And it was probably one of the best things that ever happened to me because I had to learn how to talk in a different way. I had to learn to be there for their needs in a certain way. And it made me a better person altogether. The reason being a father, it was what I wanted to do my show about. I remember I wanted to do a podcast originally when I first started thinking about it, just because I was hooked on podcasts. All I did was work. And in a truck, we couldn't do MP3s and switch to the next song and stuff. And you got an hour or two in between each stop. And we got cameras in there. I was a CDL driver. So I needed something that was going to last and also keep me awake. Because waking up at 1:30 in the morning and leaving the house at 2, it sucked. Especially when you're working 16, 17 hours a day. So my thing was podcasts. And I've been doing it for a while. And I thought, I wonder if I can do this, you know? But I knew I would like to try it, didn't know what. And I remember talking to my wife and other people when it became an idea. Like, what would you talk about? I was like, I don't know. Like, I'm just a boring dad. I'm a boring dad. I don't go to the bars. I don't drink. I work. I come home and take care of my kids. And that's when it hit me. He's like, I'm talking about being a dad. And I remember when I had looked up stuff I was going through when I went through my divorces, there was nothing there. And honestly, truthfully, at that time, that was my everything. It still is. I'm having a hard time with it right now because the second half of my life has been being an everyday dad, making sure they have everything they need for school stuff, and they needed me so much more. Earlier this year, my oldest graduated RN school, got her a house, married a Marine. She did good. She started off at her first job making more money than her old man ever did. Nothing could make me prouder. Nothing. It's their accomplishments is my accomplishments because they are my greatest accomplishments. And she did it. I always, that's what I wanted for her. I never, I was hard. I wasn't hard, but I tried to be straight, keep focused. I want you to get your goals. I don't want you to make the mistakes that I did. And I think we can all relate if there's any parents out there. We don't want our kids to make the same mistakes we did, but they're human and they're going to make mistakes too. But I really tried to do that. And, they think we're hard talking to, they like talking to me about whether I was strict or not. Dude, I'm just going to be honest. I don't know if anybody can relate. My dad, 6'7", size 17 shoe. I messed up. I got my ass beat. Nowadays, they get their cell phone taken away. So, anyway, um, then my daughter Lily, she just graduated high school and now she just actually started college. And now the last one that's with me, she becomes a senior this year. And one I haven't seen many years. I was going every chance I got. It was free to see her. I had to go to her mom's house to be able to spend time with my daughter. And once it was public knowledge, I had moved on, was dating my wife. I never saw my child again. I paid for numerous attorneys to consult. They all gave me numbers to get started. As a single dad, and it's like, you're telling me I need more money than I just to get started in the state of Georgia. If you aren't married, you don't have just one case to try to get rights to your kids. You got to fight two. You got to go legitimize. And all that gives you is the right to pay child support. And so I can tell you this, they can do all this against me and like do these allegations, but why haven't they taken me to court? I can tell you why, from my experience. They would never, ever, ever risk me getting even the slightest amount of time without them attached, because that's the carrot that's been dangled. It's the only thing that kept me. And when it comes to my kids, guys, this, I'm sorry I got off a little bit. When I talk about my family, this is sensitive. Nobody should have to do this. Nobody should even have to ask, leave my kids, my family out of this. I should not have been going through this in the first place. That's the thing that's so sick about it. And it became such a playground. Now this is attached. Something I've tried so hard. But there'll be many different things. This was screenshot. Okay. Oh my God. Okay, 22, 21, 45. What's the difference? My daughter's 22. I've never called her a demeaning name, not even once. He's a piece of shit. So is Eric. I bet he knows what his daughter's warm, wet hole feels like. He talks about it steady. Only thing a woman is good for. Let me see. Two allegations in one. I can guarantee you this is stuff people would never say to my face. And I ask anybody on the other side of the screen, if this was taking place with you, I've never said that. Crazy enough, it was something that has been said. It wasn't said by me. And it definitely wasn't said about my daughter. I had all girls. If I said that about one of my daughters, I mean, there's truly some sick people out there. But if you use simple common sense, what would I gain from that? Does it fit what can be established? You know, one of the most challenging things talking about dads for the last 7 years is that if you talk about some of the issues that men can end up in relationships with. Parental alienation, false accusation. If you could see the amount of guys that have been with someone that, in order for them to keep custody, to keep that control, have ended up being accused of doing something like that to their own child. I don't know that. I don't know. I think I'd rather be accused of murder or something like that. I don't know which one. Like, could you imagine someone accusing you of doing something like that with your child? There is a certain type that will do anything to keep control. And there was always been this thing that talking up for dads or the challenges that they go through means that you hate women. I'm a woman hater. Yet, the thing that means more to me in my life than anything is that wife of mine. Because when I see the world and they act like this, they can talk about people's kids, their lives, and put out all type of lies and allegations. Sometimes she's the only place that I feel like is worth being. Uh, I I love every one of my girls. They're my heart. Love my wife. I have a mom I'm close with. There's never been anything out there that says I hate women. There is a certain type of woman. Sorry, fruit fly. But there is a certain type of woman that sees their kids as nothing more than a way to get what they want out of their ex. And they will make that child's dad go through so much torture, spend all this money, put all these allegations and stuff just so they can do that. I hate that type of woman. Yeah, it's a very specific type. So, uh, outside of that, wife's telling me to be happy. Outside of that, thank you. She's a rock star, man. She's a rock star. Never, you know, she could have came on and spoke with her husband at any point in time. Um, but we try to keep our private life. You know, there's parts I share or pictures and memories I talk. But to invade my privacy is where I'm getting. Anyway, listen, guys, there is a certain type of woman that will use their children as a weapon to hurt the dad because he either didn't want to be with them or for some reason. There is some that when you get out of a relationship or you will not be with them, their goal, because you can't be happy, you will pay. You will pay because you didn't want to be with me, you won't be with them. And I will make sure I will stay attached to your life because I can't stand to see you happy. There's no way you can be happy because in my world, that would mean maybe I did something wrong that made you not want to be with me. And these type of people can't take any accountability. They'll never be able to tell you they did anything wrong. Look, they will go to those links to try to paint a monster out of somebody instead of just saying, I made a mistake. I'll get better at it and I'll move on, do something different next time. And that is what I talk about on Dad Talk, or was. I haven't done it in a while, but I know a little bit about it. And here is your evidence. Melissa Isaac. Melissa Isaac, Trump's new deportation judge, called women warm, wet hole. That's on Newsweek. If you look up her name and that those three words, one wet hole. Um, that was just it's national headlines back at the end of April. That was something she said in an interview in 2021. I never said that. Never belonged to me. Not only is it somehow been attributed to me because of this scenery, now it's me that said it, and I'm saying it about my own daughter. A little bit of, I don't, I mean, this sounds crazy. Eric Carroll, warm wet hole, Google, find me saying that. Um, it wasn't me. What would I benefit from that? Here's one, some of the questions you need to ask yourself. If you want to keep going down this rabbit hole, as you see, why would I want to stay attached to this in any way? Oh, what? Because it can get more viewers or it gets attention or subscribers. I could give a shit less about that, guys. And this ain't what I want to build my audience off of. I want to do something that is fun or with people that want to be positive and make a change. I don't I don't want to do that. So what would I benefit from that? What does it have to do with the Whitakers? And most important question, who would want that to be true about me? Who would put that allegation out there? I would say this. Sometimes the one pointing the finger, you need to turn it back around on them and ask some questions. Uh, Here's another one. After I did the Father's Day show, this comes in and I see it. And this is an easy one. Susan says so much. Please share this. It's been verified that the Instagram account that was part of the, I don't even like saying his name. He's got too much time of mine, and I'm not giving him any more. Whitaker's and Lawrence Eric Carroll contract is still active and running. It's been verified by Lawrence Eric Carroll himself during a live stream on his channel, Dad Talk, that he alone has access to this social media platform. It has very recently been verified this Instagram account is still actively accepting donations for the Whitaker family. If you're a victim of an online scam, I strongly encourage you to complete an online complaint form, blah, 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 blah. I'll tell you this. If anybody sees that or anything attached with that and they're asking for money, I want you to report it too. Again, December 2025, I deactivated those accounts. The courts acknowledged I deactivated those accounts. I wanted them deactivated. They're preserved as evidence. I'll go a step further for you. Might not. I've said some of this. Excuse me if I go back into things that's already been said, but again, the state investigator, when this thing got investigated, and again, I'm the one that called for investigations for God's sakes, you know. But when I found out it was going to be investigated by the state, I sought him out. I went to him. He didn't have to come to me. He didn't have to contact me. Where are you at? I want to talk to you. And I'm not about to sit there and give you tons of screenshots. Here you go. Do what you need to. I gave them the accounts. But there's so much about this one right here that is just so much common sense. Is there anybody that would think I did this? I had my own platform, not just one, multiple. Years before this that I built. Why would I want to activate accounts that I deactivated that I know are tied to a fraud scheme and where I called for the investigations? Make it make sense. I don't remember telling anybody I was the only one that had access. There was one that I only had access. It was the YouTube because he never had anything to do with YouTube. And it was a very big difference. I had a studio, I do videos, documentaries, I've done all kinds of content creation, all kinds, uh, with actual knowledge behind it. Now, when it came to him, his whole thing started because he moved next door to them, went down there and started doing cell phone videos without editing and just posted. That was his skills with content creation. Congratulations, he's learned how to use StreamYard. But I know he did not know how to. So that's why I had access to the YouTube, but he had access to all the other ones. What would I benefit from that? Would I be so careless? I mean, these are common sense questions, guys. But I kind of thought something was up. I've showed this, I think, twice, and I posted it on my Facebook, but we'll go through it again. This is May 27th, a month ago. It was 12:30 at night. I was laying in the bed. I saw it as soon as it popped up. Hi, Whitaker Family TikTok. We're writing to inform you that we detected a login to your account from a new device. When? May 27th, and device iPhone 16 Pro Max near West Virginia. I think I've told you guys I'm from Georgia. I'm not near West Virginia. And I can tell you this, I'm not driving 10 hours up there to log into TikTok. I think my wife and everybody would attest to it. TikTok is one, I just don't do it. I've created content and put it over there before. And even then, on my own TikTok, I don't. Which then again, there's someone else doing a lot of the posting on the dad talk stuff. A lot of that's not me anyway. I don't do TikTok. It's not my thing. But as soon as I saw that, because I got the 2-factor authentication set up, I was like, what in the world's going on now? Near West Virginia. These accounts aren't supposed to be going. They're preserved as evidence because that's where things could be going on. Let's put it that way. Now, was that the same on the other ones? I don't know. But as soon as I saw that, and thank God, because I just knew, I don't know what's going on, but something doesn't smell right. I went to TikTok, that I hardly ever get on, but I did it from Dad Talk. And I wrote the platform immediately. Sent him the screenshot. Hey, this just popped up. I wanted to make you aware, so it's a part of a public timeline, that it's saying this account's trying to be logged into. This is an account that's supposed to be deactivated. I know because I deactivated it. The courts asked for it to. And this is an account that is attached to a case that's being investigated for fraud, where someone has multiple fraud charges. The only other person that had the credentials was the person that's being investigated and has been charged. And I wanted to put something down on a public timeline that, one, it's not me, and to make sure that you guys keep an eye on it, because I'm not sure what's going on. And I sent it. It was 10 or 15 minutes right after that. And now we got, what is it, a month goes by. That one. Yeah, and then that comes up. What would I benefit? But who would benefit, or who would want people to think that's true? I mean, it would be one of the stupidest things ever. But there's one that this needs to get put to rest. I have been as cooperative can be. Not that it's really, you know. I don't know. I gotta keep my mouth shut sometimes. Um, but there was one thing everybody asked about the most. And even as you know, the questions, I was like, look, so one I think is the most common sense, and I want to answer it the most, but it's a courtroom matter. And there's certain things I can't talk about. Not because I can't, not because I won't, not because I don't want to. That's it's a closed court case. Uh, I think I've got something that I mean, there's no details or anything. I'll respect everyone's privacy. The money, the money. I think even in that, there was some stuff in there. People talking about, oh, he's just going and spending on attorneys or vacations, and like, been all kinds of allegations with that. The number one thing with me, um, at no point in time did I have the sole discretion, sole control, or sole thing to like to distribute or whatever. The only reason that came back here with me to Georgia is because I was waiting to find out what they were telling me to do with it. I was told by anyway, anyway, I was told it would be out of my possession before I left Georgia by people in charge, and didn't happen. And we got the text message says that I came back to Georgia and it hadn't. And I sat here until December waiting on what's going on. The only thing I knew to do was make a separate account, put it in there, have it accounted for, and it's where it's been sitting the whole time. But the contract, there's 4 parties. 3 parties all did stuff you weren't supposed to. There was one that executed it the way it said. Um, but none of that matters right this moment anyway. When talking about this, there was one party that did something that has got this whole thing in question because it's became a part of something's called a fraud case, a fraud investigation. Now, anything that was attached to this is a part of that investigation. The social media accounts, the funds, everything. So what happens? That doesn't mean you go and say, hey, while they're doing this, here you go, or here you go, or no. If I had to use one penny per that contract that belonged to someone else, you wouldn't have just one person with charges. You'd have 2. It was the most common sense out of all of them. And until the courts say what happens, or it's where it's always been. All they're accounting for, protected for the people who ends up getting it, myself included. I mean, it was the most common sense. I mean, it's also, I guess, the easiest one to attack, right? Oh, he's got this. He went and did all this. No, no. It's literally, if I was an investigator, where would you search first, right? I really thought most people would put that together. And that the only reason I didn't answer it, it was it's court thing. They're the ones that say what happens. Um, every one of these questions, I would start off with, what would that benefit him? Because I'm sure this isn't the end of allegations. Again, it's been a year. If anybody had something with some substance, some evidence, it checked out. What I had to bring forward, it checked out. And I think that's been seen. There were so many other people out there. I mean, the only vindication I was able to get during that whole time, I told everybody, don't listen to them. They don't know what they're talking about. People that no one had ever really watched them. The majority of them just started coming and saying they had details about this case. And poof, overnight. They become really popular on YouTube and TikTok and all these places. It was ridiculous. You know, had it ever been about attention, money, or fame, uh, when it was so hot and everybody was wanting to know what happened because it was closed and nobody knew, and that's why all these random YouTubers were doing that, I was the only one that knew. I would have went in there. Hey, stop looking over there. I got it. Let me tell you about it. No, and I don't want to build an audience off of that. I really don't. Dude, this thing is just, what would I benefit from it for one? Does it make sense? Most of this stuff, like even that last one, would I be that careless? Um, does it line up with the actual evidence? What does it have to do with the Whitakers? That's like one of my main questions, guys. There was so much that ended up happening and gotten accused, and then it became about personal attacks. Let me tell you the difference between me and the other people operating in this. And one, again, that has nothing to do with the Whitakers. This is all about this guy right here. And I'm not flattered, and I want nothing to do with it. If you answer any of the allegations from her, you make her feel justified in what she's doing right now. Like there was some purpose behind this. No, it's creepy, pathetic. Get a life. You spend your whole life trying to convince someone I'm a bad guy and no one would ever be happy with me. And I left you, and it was like a half a year, but here I am, 9 years going on happy, and you can spend the rest of your life. And the only happiness you're ever going to know is the photos you keep getting from my page when I'm with my happiness. Um, I mean, move on. I hate if that sounds cold, but I'm beyond it, guys. I am so beyond it. Um, but when I said something, it was about actions with evidence, and I tried to make it about how it was connected to up there. Uh, After it went to hell in a handbasket, I had so many people reaching out to me wanting to give information about him or wanting to come on the podcast, and like I can tell you all kinds of stuff. And even one, his daughter, started speaking up, and there was some pretty hard stuff to hear on there. Um, I talked to her. I want to talk to her. I talked to her, and I heard some stuff. And this is a hard one, because in her, and with her, she said there's stuff that happened, and she's very upset and wants the world to know about it when it comes to him, and that's her right. I mean, from what I heard, I understand it, and I feel sorry for her. I truly do. And I decided against it. And I don't know if she ends up seeing this or thought badly of me when I didn't do it. I did not do that because I don't believe you or I don't empathize with you or I didn't want to help. But when it came to this, it's because of stuff just like this. I tried to keep it about what happened up there, because once I start doing that, it looks like I'm trying to assassinate their character, or I'm trying to go at them as a person. And that was just one. That was a child. I had multiple family members and friends. There was a lot of information. I'm not here to talk about the guy's character. I mean, I think I'll let him do that for himself. It seems like he's done a pretty good job so far. Um, I I even, I was printed out his record and gave it to me and sat there on my desk. He read that to nobody. I'm not worried about that. The one that I am worried about is that case, but there is one more case of his that is starting to really become a concern of mine. Because just last year, and I didn't know this at the time that I got involved, and I was, after it did get brought up to me, was told something completely different. Now I know this is available for anybody who looks, knows how to use the internet. Um, the month after I got started in July 2025, it's pled guilty to stalking. Not just that, threatening was going to post inappropriate images of an ex. I don't know if you call it revenge porn or what. And there was some other in there. I'm not going to go further. The part of that that concerns me is the stalking because of the unwanted contact, the repeated attempts of false allegations, and to hold on to this thing that caused so much trouble to everyone in its path. Um, I, I see a lot of this behavior. This is not normal. When I went forward and I said stuff, it was because of what I experienced up there. I was told I was getting involved in a project. They already had started. Hey, I need your help as a content creator. You know how to run social media. And man, you look at the contract, I did what I was called to do, but there was so much more. I loved the day to day helping, taking care. You need something for your knee. Let's read a book, bake some cupcakes. I I miss them. I miss That's the part that bothers me the most. I miss them. But I want to get this. I want to get this over with. The biggest thing. These are my boundaries. I want a public timeline. I have requested. Leave me out of it. You know what? For anybody that's participated in that and ever put my name in their mouth, you had a year again. If anybody had anything, I'm tired. You should have never even had that. None of that should have ever happened. And I don't know if people watching this understand just how much havoc and the consequences that could come from that, of me waiting. Everyone was watching them when the misinformation was going out. When I get to speak 10 months later, when it's dead, nobody's paying that much attention to that. So, how many people at the peak of that, when so much of my personal life that was attached to this, and my kids, and comments like this, do any of you watch it? You really believe this trash right here? That was the kind of stuff that has gotten circulated about me during that time. And there's no telling if those people never come back. And look, it's never going to be like that again. Hopefully not, but it'll never get that. And I'll never be able to say what really happened to a lot of them. Only the people that stuck around. So that means whatever was said about me to people that watched at that time for the rest of their life, the ones that heard that, when my name pops up, that's what'll be associated. That's their truth. That's how um, you try to assassinate people's characters and you hurt their reputation. And that sucks. As a guy, that when I had the opportunity to just act like I don't know anything or just turn a blind eye, hey, damn, the agency responsible for making sure this doesn't happen that went and said they were there to investigate and moved right along, said nothing was going on. I guess, who am I? I'm just the guy from Georgia that was up here making content. Uh-uh. I don't play that shit. I did what needed to be done. I'm proud of it. And they can rage, I'm sure, want to get revenge on me. But I would say even that shows if you not learn your lesson, it's just going right back to the one. Don't be harassing me or talking about my family. You're barking up the wrong tree. If anything, I tell you, go look in the mirror and ask yourself, how do I keep doing this? And, you know, turn your life around. Go apologize. Truly take a second and think about what you did and what it caused. You led someone to believe you really loved them and wanted to spend time with them. You led them to believe there was a real relationship there, and that's why you was doing this. That's what gets under my skin so much, man. For the people that go around talking about them, and the only thing that ever gets mentioned is starts with an I, talking about their genealogy. Oh, you're talking about that family from West Virginia. Man, nothing gets under my skin more than that. I've even had people, that said it to me in person, like, "Oh man, when you talking about that family from West Virginia, you knew that was gonna something like that was gonna happen when you went up there." And just don't say that to me. Let me tell you something. Did they have their challenges? Yes. That little guy that I was privileged to spend time with, I enjoyed every single bit of it. That was the best part of all of it. And he didn't see me as Eric from Dad Talk Today. He didn't see me as the guy from TikTok or any of that, or it was none of that, or what I could buy him. Or he just enjoyed having my time and ate it up. When I get on social media and I see hogwash like this that I pulled up on the screen for you, and these people think they can just throw that around and make people like them look less than, they are more real and better human beings than you will ever be. You people that did your little viral stuff, my buddy, even though he's older than me, my buddy, that was one of the most real people I've ever met in my life. And I know what it's like trying to be friends with people in the world, people that just want to attach or get something from you or that you can't trust. I could have trusted him. And I had a real friend and I miss him. And this crap is what caused me to lose my friend. And so when you guys participate in stuff like this, not only is it pissing me off that you're getting in my personal life, you have no idea. This isn't just some family from West Virginia that this happened to. Those were real people, amazing people, loving people. And what happened to them was wrong. And they were the focus of this. And so many people just went out there putting all kinds of false stuff. Did you have fun? Did you have fun? I wish you could see the looks that I had to see. I'll gladly take those arrows and put that target on my back for what I was there, the care and comfort. And if you can say whatever you want to about me, I know what I did. And I know who I kept the focus. Tearing my reputation, whatever, I don't care. I'm glad of what I did. You damn right I am. And the people that try to reduce them down to that, You think you're more than them. You think you're more real. You're more special than that. Yeah. Now there was a reason people loved them. Yeah, they had their challenges. But if they had had someone to step in like that a long time ago, let me tell you something. He could have. There was so much more they could have done. Something so many of you take for granted. Did you see that clapping and singing a song for a birthday cake? A birthday cake. How many of you you expect a birthday cake all their life? Something like that. Probably a highlight. Singing, singing. Yeah. Or you might have saw a occasional word. Might have saw an occasional word out of one, and I never forget on the back porch, Airbnb, cup of coffee. Let's talk about mom and dad. Betty was sitting there. First shower in their life. So I'm told. First shower. So have a shower. Yeah, it was a bath. And he seemed to really enjoy it. They started talking about their mom and dad. Sitting there listening to Betty. Next thing I know, someone else speaks up. Someone, usually one word, one or two words at max. Sit there and just get like this whole long statement out. I don't know what it meant, but I knew it was someone trying to tell like a whole conversation. I'd never seen it before. And Betty, you know what that means? And she says it. And I look over, is like, is that what you were saying? Yeah. It's the one that usually stays quiet that you get an occasional word out of. Was literally trying to participate, not just a couple of words, a whole part of the conversation, talking about their mom and dad. I still always wanted to tell me about their head. Did you see that happen with anybody else? Did you? I'm not trying to say anything special because what I did, it was never anything special. I just treated them like the human beings they were and tried to give some kindness, bring some chips, let me. They always wanted to tell me something. And don't think that wasn't on my mind every single second of every day, me trying to figure it out. There was a reason. It just lets me know having real people and having love could have done so much in this story. What was originally planned was a beautiful thing. And it's a shame. It's a shame. Probably would have been living in that new home for a while now. I've been waiting. I'd love for somebody to push back on me, whether I went to the Amish or whether we got it. Please investigate. I've welcomed it the whole time. And a year later, I'm not allowing this trash in my life, man, and I'm not going to allow people to talk about them. The only way I'll ever talk about this later is going to be the same parameters that I did with the other party that is now attached to this. I won't talk to you about anything outside of when, where, and how I can see my daughter and how they're doing. When it comes to West Virginia, I'm not going to talk about anything that comes outside of the health, safety, and well-being of people that I care about. And I hope somehow, some way, I can see them again. I don't care if anybody knows about it. I don't care about it. I just want to see it. And And I'll gladly sign off of this. If anybody wants to attach to it and try to keep doing what they do, you know, have at it. Uh, I got a few things out, guys. I'm sorry about the internet things, but and I'm doing this. This is where my podcast began, 2019. My kitchen. I haven't done this in a long time. I used to have to tell the kids, "Be quiet." Shh, shh, it was all the time, and it's kind of ironic, but I had to get this out tonight. I'm not letting it go any further. I'm done with it. I'm gonna close the chapter. And ironically, there's kind of two chapters here that are from the past, and with people from each chapter that I got away from that I want nothing to do with. And I'm planning on shutting both at the same time. I I just want the future. I'm tired of this. When it comes to this person, I'm going to give you some stuff. I think I've gave you enough already. But I'm going to give you some stuff. And if you want to entertain, I expect more allegations. Yes. And they will get more and more and more and more and more severe. I want to say something to anybody out there that knows me. And God, I mean, you may think I didn't, I met him or I went in passing. I listen, nothing is off the list with this. And I'm apologizing to you ahead of time because I don't know what happens, even if this, like, people see it for what it is and it fell apart. Again, this isn't the first time. They collected information for 10 years. There was several times, like if somebody had a disagreement with me or something in the past, they would show up, hey, I hate them too, or however it happens. Like, can I attach? And now they feel like they got a platform and they're justified to surveil my life, right? And they would go and try to do what's happening now. And they got laughed at and was trolled out the building. This is the first time, and they'll turn the comments off and everything. It is a very, very fragile ego behind that screen. That's why it doesn't show you their face or tell you their name or any of that. But it sounds so big when it's talking about other people and putting out their sensitive information and putting out their private life. This is a Dad Talk Today episode come to life. I just hate that it's attached to me. If anybody that ever questioned me, there was a reason I didn't want to talk about it back in the day because it makes this person feel justified. I'm not going to respond to her allegations. I'm not. I've been there. I've done that. I will say this. I covered many cases in that community. Many. I told people I've been through it. There was main reason I never wanted to talk about my case much was I didn't want anybody to think I made that just for me. And that was the God's honest truth. The father's rights and them having access to their children. Dads are too special, guys, for them to get the treatment and for them to have to do these things, especially in this economy. Look at this economy. I don't even, if there's any parents out there, let's be real. I don't know how our kids are going to be able to afford to get a home, let alone with what groceries and gas and stuff. Now imagine you're in a relationship and I mean, you two combined are, working, trying to keep the household going and keep food in their mouth. And at some point, you end up in a divorce or a breakup you didn't even see coming. And this could be children that you have taken care of your whole life. They could be older, they could be 6, 7, 8. And every day you've been daddy and you've taken care of them. But now because you're in a breakup and mom has custody, Unless you go to the court, you can't see your own kids. She automatically gets it. Or if you wasn't married, even worse. And you could have been there taking care of them the whole time. Now, someone you've been taking care of the whole time, being dad, because you're going through that breakup, if you want your kids, you got to go to family court. Okay? What do I got to do? In my case, not married. All right, we got to legitimize your child, and then you got to get on child support. Okay, now does that give me access to my kid? No. Oh, so I got to pay an attorney, go and get this part done, and sue her for legitimation to be considered the actual father, and then I win the ability to pay child support. Okay, and medical or whatever. So you get that part done. Now you got to go to the next, and one of the first things they'll tell you, as I was told, if they're high conflict, we can't tell you a price tag. All I can tell you is $400 an hour. And I've seen these cases go, $10,000 retainer to get started, $400 an hour after that. There's really no ending in sight. For kids, for you to be able to see your kids that you've been taking care of, that's what it takes to be a dad. Is anybody really thinks that's fair? Do you really think I'm a woman hater for thinking that it's wrong, that that's what it takes for him to be there and love and parent and guide everything to his kids? You really think I'm a woman hater because I look at those thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars spent needlessly? That could be for his kids. That could be for their food or their education or something, going to an attorney or going into a court, because one parent used that system to keep him out. And then he can go through all of that, or if he doesn't pay that or go through that system, the narrative calls him the deadbeat. If you didn't pay it, you're a deadbeat. We have equated how good a father is based off of how much money they can provide if they end up in a breakup. And that's wrong. That's why I fought, and that's why I've done the things that I do, because I raised daughters. I did a damn good job. And then I have one to even talk about it, to even think about getting it, so I don't have to do this. That's what it costs for me to get entry, just to start even talking about it. And then I don't know how much is going to be after that. I still got to take care of my kids at home. I can provide for her. I can love her. I can do this. And I could even let bygones be bygones with this one. It's not me. I want my daughter. I don't want her. She talks about her, not my daughter. Um, my oldest daughter, 1 year old, when I became a single dad. 1 year old. I was 20. I don't know if it was 19 or 20. I know this. I was a kid. I was a kid. I got full custody and raised her. And I made a lot of mistakes. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. But you know what? I was there. I was there. I didn't give up. And I learned. And it was one of the most important things for me as a man to have that opportunity to make those mistakes, to show her I didn't leave, to show her I learned, because that's really what turned this boy into a man. It was the second I learned there's something on this earth that you have to care more about than yourself. And you got to put yourself in the back seat. And this is the one you got to love. And that's why, man, being a dad is just one of the most special things. And I'm struggling with this with my girls. They're older. I'm not that everyday dad anymore. I'm lost. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm lost. It hurts. I'm proud. I'm proud of what they became, but uh, you know, it's time for me and my wife to go make some happy memories. I just can't believe that is what we're trying to sell back to people. That's what we're trying. We're trying to make somebody's time and something so special, like it's a product that they have to buy in this court system. While one gets it and another one does. Child needs a mom and a dad. There's going to be times where one of them might not be the greatest, but in my mind, as long as they're both there, they need a mom and a dad, and the law should reflect that. And anybody that calls that woman hating, they're going to. Um, it bothers me. It bothers me because that's been my message all along. Anybody's, I used to get treated as an extremist for saying that. I'll always, um, I'll always put that out there. All right, with her, um, yeah, that's something. She goes around saying she knows me. The only thing she knows is what she's been able to pull off my Facebook. And something, I'm sorry, I can tell I've went off a couple of times. There's things I want you guys to know, and I don't want to leave no stone unturned. When it comes to him and allegations or strategy or whatever, like a hate campaign or whatever may be put together, I don't mean no offense by it. I'm not worried. It's not the brightest tool in the shed. This person, this woman that I've been trying to get out of my life. There was a point in time had this very, very screwed up. And so, and I've talked to people about this on Dad Talk with men that were going through these relationship problems. Um, I don't know that I ever told them, hey, this is my story, but I never did any studying or anything. I'm not a scholar. This was just coming from the school of hard knocks. And I'm going to tell you, I think I- I've been there, I've done it. I literally wrote a book on it, but I don't know that I talked about this in it. Um, when it comes to the allegations, I've never seen anyone that's been able to do this like this in my life. And I hope they don't find that a good thing. They know how to use 95 up to 99% truth to make an allegation. Doesn't mean every time. There's sometimes they mold truth in, maybe a little bit, and then the other details are just out there. But I've seen this, and it made me think I was going insane. They can use 95, 99% truth, and they can leave out one little detail or one little word or add one, change it. That if you don't pay attention, it flips that whole thing around and it will make you question your own reality. I've never, ever, ever, ever seen anything like this in my life. And they have a lot of time on their hands to do it. Now, the other side I've seen when they just make up crazy allegations. That was done just as much, like no basis or anything out of it anywhere. A middle schooler or like a kid could see it and be like, what in the world? Because it's usually so out there. And I've seen it to where when they first tell a lie, it's like they know it. But they'll repeat it a couple times within 5 minutes. 5 minutes later, they believe it's gospel. They do. Um, so there might be parts of this that you end up hearing some truth. You got there's one little kernel. I could have a degree in this stuff, man. I could teach courses. um, whenever it's crazy, 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 crazy. But yeah, she goes around saying that she's talking about me. I know him. She doesn't know me. You're talking about a man you once knew. This man is my wife's husband. That's a role you know nothing about. You need to get out. Um, I know this can't make you happy. Serious. And I want to take a second. I know because it in the past it was hard because I didn't want to like come off as demeaning or anything because that's not what it is. There is no meeting halfway. Uh-uh. You won't ever get no acknowledgement for any effort or anything. Um, I don't wish ill will towards this person. I hope they can find someone, go and live a happy, healthy life. As I once told them, one day I'm going to get married. I'm going to find a good man. He's going to make me happy. He's going to make me a happy woman. He's going to make a great dad to our kid. You'll regret it. And I said, hey, I hear what you're doing. And like, no offense. I don't know if you're trying to make me jealous or what, but I want that for you. You find someone makes you happy and everything. I want it. And if he's good to my kid, he's a good male role model, great. I get along. And my wife's ex and stuff, we all get along. They've been over here and barbecued and stuff. That's good. And he's good. I'll correct you on something. I don't care who they are. They'll never be dad. I'm daddy. That's where the disrespect comes in. But as far as having you or whatever, yeah, I would like that for that person. But I don't think this is the way you find that. I really don't. And to put my personal details out and go in my, if anybody ever come in contact with me, guys, anybody, you bumped into me at an event, you met me somewhere, hell, I wouldn't even put it past commenting something on here that you talked to me. If your name pops up, I apologize ahead of time. I have nothing to do with it. I don't know. I don't know. And I'm not going to worry about it. That's literally all they've had. And I've seen my pictures and other stuff attached and stuff that I go out there and like stories like, who in the hell is this? It's not me. I mean, this is a great place for it to fit with the Whitaker stuff. I'm not shocked. It's the first time they've got a platform. So, uh, detail I would like to say that one of the things when I moved on, and then I never saw my daughter again, the first word, Dada. I got it on my phone. And I don't like going in there too much because it's not a good place for me. Um, but I'm sorry. Yeah, one of the reasons. Once she found out I was with my wife, I never saw my daughter again. But I guess like the public reasoning, oh, you're not a good guy. I'm protecting her. You know, him being there, I guess, would do more damage than him not being there. Try to lead people to believe that. This whole past week and a half, if anybody's never been in a relationship or something like this, it was made to make me respond. And that's why I'm not responding to those exact allegations because she has no reason to be here. Um, but that pretty much was my response. The waiting, I was letting you show. Show the world. Go ahead, show them who I am. You know who I am. You're not telling them who you are. Uh, Go ahead. Because I have told people this was anybody that ever got it. You're you keep her away because you're protecting her from me. I'm a bad guy. But yet to hurt me, you would go and collaborate with somebody that's got these charges from last year that I had to do this with. Just pled to stalking and that distribution of those images 1 year ago. And I'm not going to do it because I said I'm not going to do about character assassination. I think there's guys 40, 50, nothing. You would have to go to multiple states in order to find out what all is there. But listen to me. For someone that likes to do their homework and keep up tabs, if you did your homework, the Whitaker story might be one of the least shocking when it comes to that. You got to protect her from me, but you go and you team up with that, knowing those charges was public and that arrest was public, and that I had to go and give information. You team up with that because I'm a bad guy. You got to protect her from me, but you do that to hurt me. And what I've never understood all these years is how you can't see in such a desperate attempt to hurt me, you don't see how much you're hurting her. And the reason I've been so ready to get this out. I could tell you her name, let me tell you where she lives, show you her face. I could have done this the whole time. Once she's done this under a fake profile and spent so much time doing this at me, and I didn't do it. And like I said, it's a very fragile ego. If if they knew you knew who they were, they saw you, magic show's over. And they know I'm a good guy. And they know that I'm not bound by revenge. And I think they probably even know this. And that's why it's been so kept from me. That the one thing that protects them and allows them to do this is even though it's been so long, I love you more than I hate her. What? Oh, I chose to protect someone that's a piece of me that I love that's been kept from me uh, more than I hate her mom. And I don't hate her mom. I just want her to leave me alone. I want her to get her own life. I want my daughter. I don't want you. And I don't know what that would cause if she knew everybody knew. And that's her environment. I hate this happening. I hate my family being attached to it. And I'm sure that might end it because she doesn't want she can pull off from this fake profile and go do this. And I'm putting this there so anybody that comes up, I mean, ask her if she'll put her details out there, that those same ones she puts mine. Ask about her relationships. Has she ever been married? Uh, I'm not the only child. I'm not the only person she has a child with. He's dead, but maybe find out. Was that child allowed to see his dad's family after he passed? His dad passed around the same time as mine, or is Eric just the only one you have to protect the child from? Listen, I'm sorry. This went a little bit longer. Well, I don't know how to do this. I don't want to do it. Even when I did that not long ago and with the Whitakers, and I shared with people. There's a traumatized guy here. I didn't want the world to see it. I was repeating myself, brain fog. It was crazy. And I shared that with everybody ahead of time. I was being vulnerable. Um, they had to put me on medication to be able to get me to focus, anxiety, depression. And but I did it. I did it. And I'm getting better every day. I'm I'm okay with sharing it. There was people that, even though I shared those vulnerabilities with them, so they understood me, that's what they wanted to say every time they come in. You share people your vulnerabilities. There's a certain person out there that wants to use it against you. Oh, he's repeating himself. He's brain fog, the whole 9 yards. It's okay because I'm getting better. Um, but this right here and my family being put on screen is something I never hope any of you ever have to do. And it's I'm doing my best. I'm over it. As far as okay, three things, and now I'm gonna get off of them really quick. Um, I got some stuff coming up next week. I do the first convention I've done in many years. I stopped the conventions about 3 years ago because I got tired of it. I was doing mainly political conventions, and I was never what I set out to do a podcast for. I did want to talk, and I did want to help dads. Somewhere along the way, I was told to help dads. I needed to be in that political, place, and I need to go get laws passed. Whereas before, it was just me behind a microphone saying, "Hey, I know what it's like wanting to have a kid and or having a kid and not being able to see them and not having the money to navigate the system and going through a divorce. And one day your house is full with family and toys on the floor. And, you know, it seems like just that, your family's gone and the kids are at the mom's for the weekend and that whole house is just empty. And there's not many places out there to talk to those guys. And that's all I ever did. I wanted to hear that. And then I went from doing that in those personal experiences to being the guy in the suit and tie because I was told by other people it's what I needed to do. And there was a lot of people that found hope in that, and I tried to carry that banner as long as I could, and I lost myself. I let people think that's what I had to do to help people. Man, if I got on here and talked about fart and wiener jokes or whatever, moon landing being fake, somebody that's stressed out with their problems, whether at work, relationship, whatever. And for that period of time, they're not thinking about that. Did I not help someone? I hate that I lost my original goal. I really do. I really do. Because I think I liked it. After year one, it wasn't fun anymore. And being the guy on the screen that people want, you got to go do this, you got to go to this event, or you got to go cover this story. And it's like, okay, I'm just a country boy from Georgia. I'm willing to do it. But I don't have the money for planes and hotels and all this, the equipment and stuff. I'll do it. And then you become a fundraiser, a guy that has to raise funds. And what happens when you got to raise funds? You're always going to be the the point of allegations because of that. Whereas I could go talk about something else completely meaningless, and you're just content creators, so nobody cares. Um, I've done 7 years of that. In that 7 years, in order to talk to those guys, I had to go back to these times. Some of them I've shared with you tonight, and that'd be your first time hearing me share it. And those aren't the memories of my life that I want to relive. I never wanted to relive them then. I know back then what it was like feeling like I didn't want to wake up tomorrow. I wouldn't do the job myself, but there was days that were so dark that I really didn't. I didn't want to see another day. There was nothing there for me. And the guy back then thought it was over. You'll never find love again. You'll never enjoy again. Uh, all that shit was a lie, man. I've got the best part that I've had. And for 7 years, I've went back to that well so many times in order to relate to those guys that are there now. And the whole reason the Whitaker story happened last year is because I was trying to take a break from having to go back to that. I also gotten involved in helping these people with the murder cases, with the dads and the kids. I've seen the cases where dad wins custody. He's finally able to take her to the court system or something or fight off allegations. And on the day, the mom is supposed to give the kid over to dad, kills the kid and herself. I worked those cases. You know, I've seen stuff that I wasn't meant to see, but nobody was reporting those cases, not even mainstream media. Uh, and I don't know how EMTs, policemen, and stuff like that do it. I got so much respect for them, and I don't think we give them enough credit. People give them such a hard time. I know there's some bad ones, uh, but I can't imagine seeing shit like that, man. And then having to just unplug at the end of the night, go home and act like nothing's wrong. I'm a dad, I'm a husband. Uh, some people have it in me. I didn't have it in me, but I was doing it. And it got me. And for like the last 3 years, I've been holding on, um, hoping that maybe that tank would get refilled so I could go do what I did. And it hadn't happened. And it just hasn't. And I want to cut myself a break. I think after last year, that's when I got involved with the Whitaker story. I thought it was going to be a change of pace, do something good, help people. I can be off the screen more because I'm the guy in Georgia. I don't have to be the face. I can just, do what I've learned and help here. People want to see it. And that's not what it ended up being. So I got some new chapters coming up. So and I'm looking forward to it. I want to focus on who I have with me. And instead of going back to bad memories, I owe it to her and myself after all this. We're going to go make some new memories and good ones. And it's time for me to close these chapters so I can go write my happy ending, damn it. These people can go have it. Uh, and to my baby, thank you. Really quick before my last message, my wife deserves so much more. You got someone you truly love, and it's been there by. She makes me want to be a better person in every way because she deserves the best. I hate that stuff like this has happened because she doesn't deserve this. She allowed me and encouraged me to chase after my dreams and to help other people. And I didn't want this to happen. But I've talked about her greatness and all the things that she's done, how much I love her. But it was last year when this felt like the world was crashing down, that I realized just how good of a woman I had. I already knew, but there was a time that I felt like I spent all my time. There was a lot of times I even took away from, family to be there for other people, and was always made myself available to people in hard times. That when that went down, and I needed someone there for me, crickets. It's depressing. It is depressing because unless you've been there, you don't know it. And in the past, as a man, if you're not providing, something like that went down. I've been there, kind of already braced for it. You need to stop getting involved with this. You need to go, you know, make money. So it was the whole my business, everything come to a halt. And I just remember her coming to me like, you have a good heart, and what you did was a good thing. Don't beat yourself up. I love you. She loved me even more during that time. That I was afraid this is the time I'm a disappointment. That encouragement to chase after my goals. Yeah, it's uh, it's my time. I got one last thing to say. It's not going to mean anything to anyone out there. I'm leaving one last thing behind. The way that I said the focus with Whitaker's always seems to get left behind, not mentioned. Um, there's one who gets caught in the middle of all this. It doesn't deserve it. It's I haven't addressed in a while. It's not easy. They're told I live a long way away. Never experienced a Father's Day with them. Everything I've done, that dad talk today, all that traveling, every one of those politicians and suits I put on, it was all for you, girl. You was told I wasn't there. I was there. I was there. I saw on social media, never paid any child support. Yes, I did. In check, same as I did for my other child. It wasn't court ordered. I wanted you to be provided for. I wanted you. I wanted you. I just could not put up with that. And if you see, here it is. I was already in a situation. It's crazy. But use this as an opportunity to come and start bringing up names or anybody I'm associated, anything or anyone that can be used to hurt me. If there was anything really bad about me, could have went to the cops, taken to court. No, no. I go to social media, and I don't think she realizes all that time kept you away from me. All this time spent trying to hurt me. It was hurting you. You were a piece of me. And I wanted to be there. And I tried. But I also knew it might not make sense to anybody else. I need you to listen to me, girl. I hope one day you see this. I allowed all that to happen this past week so that you can see this. If I had somehow magically been able to get the money to go to the courts and was able to get some time, any little bit of time, anything, what you ate, what you watched, what you wore, everything, your life would have been chaos. It would have been utter chaos. And I know that. Look at what I'm going through 10 years later. I'm doing nothing to this person. That whole time on Dad Talk, I talked about my story, I think twice, because stuff like this happened. And never said names. I tried to let people's personal lives and stuff, I tried to rise above it. That's not what happened with me, but um, I'm sorry. I have my part in this. I moved quick. I made many mistakes back then. I played my part in creating you, and I didn't want this for you. I really didn't, but I hope one day you can see it. I can tell the whole world right now who she is. I know what it's brought in my life. Just she just wants to add to it, but I'm not. As much as I want her to quit, I don't want it to affect you, girl. One day when you're old enough, that's you can't be controlled or told what to do, and you can look for me. Your sisters know where to find me, and I'm waiting for you. I love you. Always have. Always will. Don't listen to that. Who makes a child think their parent doesn't love them, doesn't want them? And what do they get out of it? I'll never know. But it was not true. You come here, give me a chance. Let me embrace you one time because you are mine. And it will tell you everything you need to know. I'm sorry for any pain or confusion. And I'm not going to add to it. That's it, guys. West Virginia, this chapter for 10 years, I've tried to public timeline. It's unwanted contact. I want nothing to do with either of you. I don't want you looking at my page. I don't want you contacting me. Go get a life. And I've got mine. And you need to stay out of it. And I don't think it's too much to ask. We've done enough. I'm not wasting a second more time on you. Sorry for anyone seeing the train wreck. My life should have never been on screen for people to grab popcorn and eat too. But that's what happens. I guess to people for doing what I did. Over it. I'll see you guys.